From Wall Street to Main Street, this is LALATE.
It's a big evening of Evenings LA with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2022. In tonight's recording, direct from Santa Monica, California, we go over this incredible recon and the push underway to get the money out to you sooner than later. With the CR for stimulus heating up, in tonight's recording, so much breaking details, brand new across the board and only on LALATE. We're going to go over that incredible recon that passed in the House of Representatives in the month of November and would pass in the Senate shortly thereafter. But the big money in this recon amounts to at least those Senate changes on top of $15,000 of checks and third stimulus being repeated under fourth stimulus. Wow, a lot of money, and it's all covered in tonight's recording direct from Santa Monica, California. But tonight you're going to see how the push is underway to get that money, not just in the recon, the Build Back Better Act, into your hands, but potentially to get it into your hands sooner by using a different vehicle, which is CR for stimulus. A continuing resolution budget bill has a deadline just weeks away. And could we get out a stimulus check in that CR, much like we did in 2020? I go over the latest details tonight, plus what's going on with Joe Biden and Ron Klain. And is Ron Klain really holding up your recon in the face of where the economy is going across the board? New inflationary concerns tonight, new concerns about inflation and Russia, new concerns about supply chain and Omicron, all being covered tonight across the board. But the big push that Purple Power is delivering is upon us right tonight. Does seats for stimulus still work in this environment? I'll explain those details as well tonight because people have been asking about that as well. We have a lot tonight. It's a brand new recording. I'm excited you're here. And boy, what a time it is. The recon passed in the House, but now the push underway to get it in the Senate, get it done, but also to potentially get money out in something else. What is that something else? How it works? The big money, the big details, all that incredible money going to the finish line. It's LALATE. It's Evenings LALATE. And all the details start right here, right now, as Evenings LALATE gets underway. Good evening, everybody. Hope you're doing well. That recon has a lot of money in it, about $15,000 of checks. With 3 clusters and 3 add-ons, it's the biggest payday you ever seen in the history of this channel. We're going to go over each of those checks, starting right now with the first cluster tonight on Evenings LA. Wow, it's a lot of money. Cluster number 1 has in there the hazard pay, earned income tax credit for 1 more year, extended under third stimulus, now to be proposed under fourth stimulus. $4,000 of elder care, $4,000 of care for young children, $550 checks for the Pell Grant recipients in college. Then home repairs in a low-income community. Wow. $12,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle. There you go. That is just the start of the first of 3 clusters and 3 add-ons. It also has the CTC $3,600. What is all this incredible money? It's what I'm going to cover for you tonight across the board. There is a lot of money. And you're watching LA, the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America, where I get people money on the hour, across the hour, and I'm excited you're here. The next 2 clusters and next 3 add-ons of checks coming to this video in just a second. But first, I want you part of this incredible family. So go under the video right now and subscribe. I want you part of this incredible family. Frame wars, not so much. Trying to keep you on your feet. Did you notice that? Yeah, a dog with some frame wars and not so much. But I want you to subscribe it to this incredible family so you get all the incredible money of this recon, both past and present across the board. Hit that subscribe button to be part of the number 3 most watched financial news channel in America, where millions of Americans are getting money every single day from this channel. You should as well. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Thank you for all the incredible new members and new subscribers this week. The membership newsletter goes out tonight, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday, via the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, totally free under this video. Now, as detailed earlier in this video, there is 3 classes of checks and 3 add-ons. How does this work? I'm going to go over now. The first add-on of checks and comes from the illustrious Maxine Waters. $25,000 for the purchase of your first home. No, it's a little bit less, but she got it in there. This is money given from the seller to you, given from the federal government to the seller in behalf of you during the time of escrow. It's incredible. The second cluster of checks has in there paid leave and home repairs. What is paid leave? $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. If you make $35,000 or more per year, it's $800 a week. If you make $15,000 or more per year, it is $400 a week. So it is $5,000 to $6,000 on the high end because it's up to 4 to 6 weeks per year. W-2, 1099, you all qualify for it. Now, if you don't work, but your son or daughter does work, then they're going to get the check every time they have to take you to the doctor for an appointment this week. The home repairs in the second cluster is a little bit different. This is money to weatherize your home and sustain natural disaster. There you go. Incredible. The second cluster of checks has also a second add-on, and it comes from the incredible Bob Casey. Bob Casey, that senator out of Pennsylvania, got that provision in there. They'll provide free home health care to seniors and people on disabilities. It's incredible. And there you go. It was a campaign promise from Joe Biden. It got in there, which tees us up now for the third cluster of checks. I told you there's a lot of checks. How much money are we talking about in this recon? There's a lot of money in this recon, and the money amounts to somewhere between $15,000 to $60,000. Let's go to that third cluster of checks. Here we go. Seniors and free internet. Wow. In that third cluster, we have in there free internet, money for seniors, money for the independent contractors, the farmers. But in the case of the seniors, it's not particularly a check, but a covered benefit. Lots of it. 2 provisions added on the House side, 3 provisions coming from the Senate side. On the House side, they got in there the Medicaid gap fix and lowering the eligibility age and the hearing. On the Senate side, they proposed to add in there dental, vision, and lowering the eligibility age of Medicare, which is par for the course of what we're talking about for adding stuff to the recon, the Build Back Better Act on the Senate side. When we talk about the third add-on, you know what that third add-on is. If you're on the live chat, write it right now with me. It's MSC. We're going to go over what it is, who gets it, how much, where is it, when would it happen. Those details and more starting right now. I told you it's a jam-packed brand new recording tonight. Stay at the very end. We have a lot of money in this recon. And a lot of money to cover in tonight's recording. So the recon has lots of checks in there, multiple checks. That is why we refer to this instrument as MSC, to differentiate so we don't get confused. The M refers to monthly or multiple. The S, stimulus, and the C, checks. So who would get it? The legislators, since the month of May last year, said that it would be the same eligibility as a third stimulus check. So if you got a third, you would get a fourth. Who gets a third and who would get a fourth? Let's go over those details starting right now. Single individual, $75,000 or less annual income, you get it. Married couple, $150,000 or less, you get it as well. Double it. Family of 4, quadruple it. If you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, or rail benefits, you would get it as well. It is not income. It's not taxable. It's offered nationwide. It's not offered on state-by-state basis. It's money that will be added to the recon that already has multiple checks. This would just be more checks sent out from IRS. And there you go. A provision to be added on the Senate side to a body of legislation when it exists. But that legislation, while passed in the House, has not been passed or written in the Senate yet. So the there, THERE, for purposes of the Senate, does not exist yet. Senators Ron Wyden, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, all of them has all said they have a lot to add to this incredible recon when in the Senate. The date and the time to add stuff has not occurred. So MSC is one of the many provisions to be added to the incredible recon. That those senators also say they have a lot of other stuff to add to the recon. Tens of thousands of viewers have been told this channel since May of last year. They're going to add those provisions. So let's go over the nuances of how they do it. First, the body of legislation has to be passed in the Senate. That event has not happened. The fact that it's passed in the House, senators make changes. So the senators have to make those changes, and they do it in a subcommittee. The subcommittee modifies the language, then creates a bill on the Senate side, sends it to a Senate floor vote, and the senators vote on it. That event has not happened. Then a 2-day vote-a-rama happens thereafter. Very simple across the board. Now, is there an opportunity for us as the Purple Power to get a check out to the American people sooner than this? What is this that we were just talking about? We were talking about a body of legislation that has a name. It's called the Build Back Better Act, the BBB, passed to the House of Representatives in November and in the Senate ever since. Is there an opportunity to send out a check before it in a separate body of legislation? There always is that opportunity. And it was detailed on this channel last Saturday. It's going to continue to be detailed on this channel every single day because guess what? It worked before, it can work again. It's called CR for stimulus. Hashtag C, Charles, R, Robert, the number 4 stimulus. If you're on the live chat, write it right now. After the commercial break, I'm going to go over what that CR for stimulus means, how we can get the money out faster, and all the incredible checks in this recon. We're going to go over the big money that is in the recon so far, how we can make it bigger. Moreover, how we can take checks out of the recon and send it out quicker with a different body of legislation. We're going to go over seats for stimulus because people have been asking about that as well. And then we'll be coming back to Vladimir Putin, the Federal Reserve, and the impact on your wallet. But first, before we get to that, let's go over advocacy for stimulus. Advocacy for stimulus involves you reminding those senators you still need it. Those senators need to be reminded not every day, but at least once a week. By picking up the phone and calling their staff, potentially speaking to the same staff you speak to the prior time, saying, hey, it's me again. I remember you. How are you? Well, I want to remind you, I need this money. Because they need to be reminded. And who is the they? A series of senators who have vowed to add an MSC and all these other incredible provisions to this recon since the month of May. And you need to advocate to them because they need to be reminded you're still in time of need. If they don't hear from you, they may think you're fine. And who do you advocate to? You want to advocate to the following senators: Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer. Pick up the phone and ask them or tell them why you need it. Financial reason, medical reason, business reason, community reason, whatever it is. Casey, Coons, Warren, Wyden, Sanders, and Schumer. Pick up the phone and advocate to them. Now, here's a couple of things to note: that you have done a lot more, an enormous more than the American petition. So don't let anyone devalue you to talk about the American petition. Everything helps. But the American petition, 3 million signatures, how long does it take to sign someone else's petition they wrote? Done. How much did I contribute to that? That's less than a second. You, however, on the phone for 20 minutes, 15 minutes with the senator's office, telling them why you need it, once a week, telling your unique story. That is far more substantive. Quantitative-wise, you're doing a lot more because you are 9 million phone calls. And the American petition is only 3 million phone calls. But after the commercial break, we have a lot of money. Stay with me because I have a lot of money for you to go over. I have an insight about what's going on for Ronald Klain, the president's chief of staff. What's going on, Bernie Sanders? What is going on with the progressives, with the moderate Democrats? It's brand new tonight, and why they need to stop what they're doing because it doesn't help anyone. It doesn't help them, and it doesn't help you. More importantly, we're going to turn to how to get money out the door sooner than later by taking a stimulus check and putting it somewhere else. It's CR for stimulus, and among the big money coming up after this commercial break. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds as Evenings LALATE continues. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.la.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now. This evening's LA goes into the big second half. Well, here we go. That recon has an incredible amount of money, and the Senate changes would add additional checks to that incredible recon on top of the existing checks, which are about $15,000, and the big money from third stimulus repeated across the board, $45,000. What happened to that student loan debt forgiveness and fifth stimulus? I have the latest details tonight as well. But then we're going to turn to what's happening with one guy named Ron Klain. And is he impacting your recon? He is. Who is he? I have the latest details on that. Vladimir Putin, will he be impacting your recon? He is. And I'll explain the details on that. Jay Powell and the Federal Reserve and his step across the board. What's going on with him? I'll have the latest details on that as well. We got a big second half. I'm excited you're here. But first, I want you part of this incredible family. So go right under this video right now and subscribe. You're watching LA, the #3 most watched financial news channel in America, delivering all the incredible breaking news and getting millions of Americans millions of dollars since day one. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, and consider becoming a member tonight so you can get that incredible money across the board. Coming up next, if you're watching Evenings LA, is the 6 o'clock Evenings Countdown Show, the 7 o'clock Evenings Home Stream Stimulus, and the 8 o'clock Evenings Extra. And with that, we go into the big second half of tonight's video. With so much happening across the board, let's get to the breaking news starting right now. Well, at issue first is that the president says, via Andrew Bates, his chief press announcer, that the fourth stimulus recon will become a law. So the message from the White House, it's still on play. Number two, Bernie Sanders was very happy about this last week because bodies of legislation went for a vote and failed, but he thinks it's better to call for a vote than wait. Chuck Schumer says the recon, Build Back Better Act, will also go for a vote in the next coming days. All really incredible, great news. So, what is CR for stimulus, and does that change the equation of the Build Back Better Act? CR for stimulus is based upon a concept I unveiled almost over a year ago on this channel. Let's step back so you understand what the dynamic was at that time. We had seen first stimulus rolled out in March of 2020. By summer of 2020, it was gone, and we were waiting for second stimulus. The negotiators, Nancy Pelosi on behalf of the Democrats, Steve Mnuchin, then Treasury Secretary, on behalf of the Republicans. The negotiations continued throughout the summer, going over what would be in a second stimulus package, a proposed bill. Negotiations did not get a deal by summer. By fall, still no deal. By late fall, still no deal. And by winter, absolutely still no deal. So one night in December, I was sitting back before going on camera. I said, you know what? It just can't keep on going on like this. No deal, negotiate, no deal. And I looked at my notes, and coming up in December 2020 was a deadline. The deadline was a continuing resolution budget bill, has a lot of different names. And the concept is very simple. Every few months, the federal government must pass a budget bill to fund the federal government so that the federal government can operate. The national parks, the federal buildings, they need money to be run. And the great thing about this budget bill, or the CR, or the continuing resolution, is you can't miss the deadline. If you do, the federal government shuts down, and no one wants to let the federal government shut down, neither Republicans nor Democrats. So I looked at it, I said, wow, this really helps because we have Nancy and Steve Mnuchin not working on a deadline, never getting it done. And I said, why not put a stimulus check in a continuing resolution? I came up with the idea, the creation, and I delivered on camera for the first time in December. Why not put a stimulus check in a continuing resolution? Before I made the recording, I knew what the Purple Power was going to say, but I also knew what the naysayers was going to say. The Purple Power was going to say it works because it's faster, it has a deadline. It doesn't allow Nancy or Steve Mnuchin to avoid the issue. It forces them to do with the issue. And they will never let the continuing resolution miss a deadline. They'll get it done. And if it gets done and a check is in there, it will go out. Very, very simple concept. I also knew what the naysayers were going to say as soon as I made the recording. So I made the recording. In December 2020, I announced the idea, world exclusive on this channel, to put a stimulus check into a continuing resolution. The immediate response was exactly what I thought the naysayers would say. It does not belong in there. A stimulus check to for the American people does not belong in a continuing resolution bill, which is money to run the federal government. They said exactly, the naysayers, what I thought they were going to say. It don't belong in there. So I had my answer ready. The answer? You're right. It doesn't belong in there. In fact, it absolutely doesn't belong in there. But ironically, everything you've been putting into bills for years doesn't belong in there. And that everything you've been putting into COVID relief bills since the start of the pandemic, many of them don't, a lot of the items in there don't belong in there either. We had seen COVID relief bills by the time of the CR for stimulus, where they're sending out money to foreign governments for their army and military, not for COVID, sending out money to the federal government to build a new FBI building, sending out money for the Department of Copyrights, not for copyrights for COVID. And I said, hey, if you can send out money to foreign governments, you can send out money to the American people. And we pushed, and I told you to push. Viewers of this channel loved the idea, and we pushed very, very hard. And we woke up one morning in December, and suddenly we heard the announcement. Federal government announced that the continuing resolution budget bill will have stimulus relief in there. We thought we had won until we listened to carefully what type of stimulus, and it was a continuation of unemployment benefits. We said, no, that's not what we're asking for. We were asking for a stimulus check. So we pushed, and finally, they got it in there. The $600 second stimulus check, which never was in a stimulus package, let's remind ourselves, it was in a continuing resolution, was the creation of me and the creation of this channel. And it became U.S. history with a $600 stimulus check going out in December 2020. It's part of continuing resolution budget bill to run the federal government's budget. Well, over a week ago, I went on air. I said, you know what? You want to do it again? You want to do CR for Stimulus 2020 now in 2022? And viewers said yes, overwhelmingly. If you look at the two situations, they look eerily the same. First, duration. We had seen second stimulus unveiled by Nancy and Steve Mnuchin in spring of 2020, and by December 2020, which was about 10 or 11 months, they still did not have it done. What are we looking at with forced stimulus? While some people say whatever happened in July of 2021, that was not when forced stimulus started. I first made the first recordings about forced stimulus, I believe, in February or April of 2021. So we are approaching nearly 12 months on how long forced stimulus has been offered by the federal government. Exactly almost the same time as second stimulus. Negotiations. Second stimulus was Nancy versus Steve Mnuchin. Forced stimulus is Joe versus Joe Manchin, Joe Biden. And finally, deadline? There ain't no deadline, as there was no deadline for second stimulus. But we do have a looming deadline for the federal budget bill once again. It's February 2022. And I said, you want to do it? And viewers love it. Now, what I particularly love about viewers in the last 24 hours is a lot of viewers have jumped on the live chat saying, I love the idea of CR for stimulus. Let's couple it with something else. That all works, folks. That all works. What people are trying to say in the live chats or in the comments is, we don't have to use the Build Back Better Act as a way to get a check out to the American people. The Build Back Better Act, as I have in front of me right here, I mean, this is 2021's writings, which was passed in the House, that has $50,000, $60,000 of checks. We will still get these checks, these massive BBB, Build Back Better Act checks. But how about just getting us a check right now, in addition to the third stimulus, which I can get you? What about a check to the American people in something other than the Build Back Better Act? People like it. People have been jumping in the live chat with other comments and suggestions. What about here? What about there? I love it. If I don't see your comment, send it to me on private message. I'll research and bring it on air across the board. Also, people have been asking me, what about seats for stimulus? I don't think seats for stimulus works at the moment. I'll tell you why. Seats for stimulus is based upon the concept of giving us the stimulus or we vote you out of Congress. Okay, but the concept is based upon a two-party system, Republicans versus Democrats, Democrats versus Republicans. Well, if you replace a Democratic senator who does not give you the stimulus, then who are you replacing them with? You're generally replacing them with the opposite party, not the same party. And no Republican senator wants to give you a single penny for stimulus. So that's the problem at hand. until we have a three-party system with the Purple Power Caucus starting its own political party potentially in the future. And that third party caucus, and people have been asking me to run for higher offices, you never know. But until you have a third party system, there is no other person to put in there with a seat for stimulus. Now, what I want to turn to is really something quite new that has manifested itself in the last 24 hours. I went over it a little bit last night, but I want to go over more in details tonight, which impacts your recon. It's a two-prong approach, but you're going to see in a second that it's not just Ron Klain. Ron Klain, spelled K-L-A, I did it wrong again, K-L-I-N, is the president's chief of staff. And Ron Klain has been at fault for not getting the recon done. I'm going to go over Ron Klain in a second. But the second and third part of the Ron Klain problem is not a Ron Klain unique problem. It is a Democrat wishing the universe problem that has been around since day one of the Biden administration. There have been too many Democrats on all sides of the political spectrum of Democrats who have literally wanted everything, like they've not had a Democrat in office in the White House for ever. I mean, you did. You've had other Democrats in the White House before. And they really feel that on day one, they wanted 9,000 things to be done. If you offer them 8,900, they'd say no, because I need 9,000. And then if they included one provision from someone else and not your provision, and the other provision really helps the American people, they said, no, I want my provision done. Let me tell you the problem. I'm going to use Bernie Sanders as the example tonight. Bernie Sanders is a progressive. He's not registered as a Democrat, but he caucuses with the Democrats. He's actually independent. He is from the state of Vermont. Every state has different taxes. And progressives have things they want. Moderate Democrats have different things they want. If you're in the same political party and someone else in your party wants something, would you go after what they want if it doesn't hurt your stuff? No. Would you go after it if it still helps the American people? Sure. No, you wouldn't go after it. So what Bernie Sanders did not earlier this week, less than 48 hours ago, less than 24 hours ago, I was really shocked by it because I adore Bernie Sanders. And this is what's the problem with what's going on here. Bernie Sanders went out and said that the SALT cap, which is one of those massive provisions in the fourth stimulus recon passed in the House, is dead. He was wrong. So he's basically filtering out fake news. Number two, he said the negotiations had removed it. It had not been removed. And that's not really what I'm at issue with Bernie on this subject matter, is that he said the SALT cap only helps rich people and hurts the working families. It's mathematically 100% untrue. First, the SALT cap is basically the following. You can deduct more on the state and local tax of what you pay in state and local taxes on the federal tax return under the fourth stimulus recon than prior to the fourth stimulus recon. Under the Trump administration, you can only deduct $10,000 of what you pay in state and local taxes on the federal tax return. Pretty simple. Yeah, $10,000 cap. Fourth stimulus recon coming in with the moderate Democrats. They said, you know what, we're moderate Democrats. We're in New York, we're in New Jersey, we're in California. We pay a lot more in taxes than Bernie Sanders citizens do in Vermont. So we should be allowed to deduct a little bit more in taxes on the federal tax return. This ain't taking money out of progressives' pockets. It's just saying we're going to pay a little bit less in taxes. And what did they say? We want to deduct $72,500. Bernie Sanders' reaction is, it's a provision that helps rich people. Let's be frank. $10,000 of how much you deduct on the federal tax return for a working class husband and wife is not rich people money. You can do the math yourself. 32% tax rate, 27% tax bracket, 24% tax bracket. If you have $10,000 to deduct, that is not a rich person. That is a working class family. My case in point, I want to get to it right now, is that Bernie Sanders is trying to go after the moderate Democrats just for the sake of going after them. It's not a good look. This provision, the SALT cap, does not hurt the progressives. It does not hurt Bernie Sanders. It does not hurt his platform. It does not hurt the American people. It does not hurt working class families. It helps working class families. Why is he trying to burn a bonfire over something like this? This is not a horrible provision. It's actually a great provision, and it helps so many people. Let me do the other version of the situation. Ron Klain, President's Chief of Staff, accused in a series of new articles as being Bernie Sanders 2.0. Not so much, because Bernie Sanders is really a wonderful person. Not that Ron Klain is a bad person. But the article basically says that Ron Klain, during the month of December, sent out press release after press release saying Joe Manchin is horrible. Joe Manchin is horrible. Joe Manchin is horrible. Okay, now Bernie did that, as you may have recalled, back in October. Bernie Sanders took out an op-ed in a very top publication in the state of West Virginia where Joe Manchin's out of, said Joe Manchin's horrible. Bernie Sanders action groups have gone to Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin states and saying, these are horrible people. Folks, you can't keep on doing this. They can't keep on doing this. They can't keep on going after each other's throats. I mean, here she is. I know. Here she is. She does things a peculiar way. But one thing we've learned from her, her ways work. Her ways that work are you do not go after people in the same political party. You get them to agree upon things together. You never look like you are falling apart as a family. You always look like you're coercive. You are cohesive. Even if things are tense. Not Ron Klain. Ron Klain, you make it look like it's tense. You make it look like everyone's going after each other. You look like you're infighting. This don't work. And Bernie Sanders this last week said, I was happy to call the vote on the initiatives because it showed the Republicans against it. Nancy, in the school of political theory, Nancy Pelosi would tell you, you Democrats, Bernie and Joe Manchin and progressives and moderate Democrats, you look like you've been going after each other's throats for the entire year. And everyone, I think, even in middle America, understands that. They don't even need to watch a YouTube recording about that. They all understand that. And if it continues, it's going to get worse. So here's a new article out about Ron Klain says he needs to stop this. He is not prioritizing the recon. I cover this on the show right after this tonight. I'm not going to cover that subject matter. But this personality complex of Ron Klain, which is to go after moderate Democrats, has to stop. Appeasing and cuddling and, oh, you're so wonderful, Pramela, has to stop. It has to stop. You can't do, oh, you're so wonderful, Pramela. I can't stand you, Joe Manchin. You can't keep on doing that. I mean, you can't keep on doing that. It's the same political party. Can't keep on doing that. And it's literally going to rip apart this administration if they keep on doing this. One thing that viewers have learned from me, and I often forget about myself, is viewers always say, Ella, you say very things that are common sense. There's two ways you approach life: street smart, book smart. I think I'm both. I'm book smart, and I'm also very, very street smart. I know when something doesn't make sense. You and I remember that perhaps the worst era of the Trump administration in fall of 2020, well, actually summer of 2020, was that the Trump administration had all this additional money sitting around for SBA, $550 billion. Remember my analyst over here, $550 billion. He could reallocate it as an executive order stimulus check and send it out. He didn't do it. He didn't do the stimulus check. He put it off. Remember, he got COVID. He was in the hospital. He got healthy then. He turned to his chief of staff, said, I want to get the recon done. Good. Too late. Don't wait to 10th hour, 11th hour right before election night or the week before election night. Mail-in ballots are going out. It's just very obvious stuff. This is sort of the obvious stuff. Ron Klain's not doing his job. Either get rid of him or get him to fix it right now. You don't leave this going on much longer. Otherwise, it's going to get bad. It's going to get worse before it gets bad. Bernie and Joe Manchin. I had a recording. I had a quote just 7 days ago that said the White House said they're not going to have a lot of lip service out among Democrats. It didn't last very long because this week they came back with lip service. Moderate Democrats going after progressive Democrats. They got to stop this right now. Now, with that, let's go over those incredible provisions of that recon. Now, understand the recon was passed in the House 2021. All the provisions are staying in there. They would add provisions across the board. And what is in that incredible recon? Let's go over some of those checks. We already went over the salt cap. They got on the shipping prescription medication, starting with 20 medications day one, growing to 30 in year 2028, $40 billion of free job train, $550 check for the Pell Grant college students, $12,500 for purchase of new electric vehicle, $3,600 for the CTC extending for one more year, the hazard pay, the earned income tax credit for the essential workers, doing that one more year, the care for seniors in there as well, lots of those money, and then also the rent, housing assistance, utilities, and more. Let's go over some of the details of that right now. First, third stimulus had several provisions. They're continued under fourth stimulus. So under fourth stimulus, you can get these additional monies, but you don't want to wait for fourth stimulus. You can get it right today. You can get rent, utilities, mortgages, this is more, and I'm going to go over all those details first right now. First, you can get rent, 6 places. If you're a member of this channel, open the newsletter. If you're not a member of this channel, go right in this video right today and become a member. The newsletter comes out Monday through Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, approximately, from the YouTube alert system and the LALATE alert system, which is totally free. Rent, it's about $40,000. Where do you get it? 6 places. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority. State Hall, and State House Authority. Keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. 3 months, also featured in the newsletter. You must reach out to all 6 places. You must get multiple applications on file, and you must do multiple rounds. What are multiple rounds? Getting that money out as far as possible, potentially into May. Then I want you to get 3 items. Nisi Art Sullivan got those. You want to do the same. You want to get SNAP. It is money for food. You get it from Department of Agriculture. I feature more about that later in tonight's evening's recordings and overnight's recordings as well. Here's what you need to know, is that the evening's recordings and the overnights and the sunrise recordings are all about the same provisions. This channel first unveiled the 4 stimulus recon provisions in spring of 2021. The provisions are still in there and they're heading to the finish line. They will be added to them. You need, as a Purple Hawk, to know all these incredible provisions because when they become law, you want to pounce. Let's turn to Jay Powell and Vladimir Putin. Vladimir Putin's threat to invade Ukraine is still there. And until it goes away, it is a big concern for the U.S. financial markets. It will cause markets to be unsettled, unsteady, and potentially downturning every time there's a further looming rumor of a threat. Number 2, Federal Reserve Chair Powell this week said that interest rate spikes will start in Q1, which will be as early as March of this year. Most of the markets are anticipating that. But the concern is whether it's too late, too little, or whether it should come even sooner. Omicron inflation is very at issue tonight. Omicron inflation is on top of the existing inflation we're already dealing with, caused by supply chain. The concept is very simple. People are out for work because they're sick, so the employer does not have employees to work. You want to gauge inflation before it happens? You can. Go to your supermarket and buy the same item on a regular basis. Watch it then. The milk you buy every single week from the same market, the same quantity, the same brand, is it going up 10 cents every week? That's inflation. Keep note of it, and you'll know where the inflation rate is falling. I predicted that inflation rate over a year ago. In spring of last year, I predicted the inflation rate at 10%, 8%, and it came in last month at 7.5%. Very confusing and very perplexing. I detail a lot about what's going on with the financial markets and how it impacts your wallet on Overnight's Crypto, currently playing on the channel tonight. So join those incredible shows with Evenings LA, continuing with a whole slate of shows tonight. Evenings Countdown at 6 o'clock. Evenings Extra is a home stream stimulus at 7, and Evenings Extra at 8 o'clock. And with that, I want you a part of the incredible family, so subscribe. A 400,000 subscribers YouTube record, number 3 most watched financial news channel in America. Like the video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Join me all weekend long as new shows come to this channel as well. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.